This is Krista from Gallery 1. I'm the ceramic artist in resident at Gallery 1 Visual Arts Center, and I'm here today to talk to you about making an Art2GO planter. We have our kits here that you probably have gotten from your teacher, and today I'm going to show you in about like 9 to 10 easy steps to get a nice planter that you can use as an actual piece in your home and plant a little seed and watch it grow as part of maybe your science project. So here in our kit we have a couple tools. We've got a skewer, a piece of clay in a bag, and a popsicle stick. Don't need much. Your hands are the most important part of making. And then we also have this Art2GO instruction kit that we're going to be following along while we're making. It's your step-by-step instructions. Inside your instructions, we have a featured artist on the front, as well as what is clay inside, and then also some other tools that you may have around your home that you can use or that you want to bring into class if you're coming into school right now. So different things that you might be interested in using to make your planter. And then we'll get started on step number 1. And we'll switch my camera to my hands so that I can show you that. Our first step is going to be just getting your clay out of the bag and taking your clay and separating it into 2 parts. They don't have to be exactly the same size. Whichever part is biggest is gonna be the first piece of clay you work with. So sometimes they're exactly the same, sometimes they're not. This one looks a little bit smaller than this one in my right hand. So I'm gonna put my smaller piece of clay back into the bag, and I'm gonna close that bag up because clay has water in it, and you don't want that water to evaporate. So we're gonna put it away and start with our first piece of clay. And our next step is going to be creating a ball out of our clay. So we're just going to pat and smooth out any little creases or hits or lines. And we're gonna keep just patting this clay into a ball. So this piece of clay is going to become the main part of your planter. So you're going to be using a pinch pot method to create this. And what we're going to do for our next step to start our pinch pot is we're going to create an opening by pressing our thumb into the clay. We're pressing our thumb a little bit past halfway, and you want to make sure that you still have 1/4 of an inch of clay at the very top where your thumb's pressing through. A way to check that is you can take your thumb out and see how far you've pressed it through by lining it up. So I could press mine a little bit further. If you press your thumb all the way through the clay, just push it back into a ball and start over. That's totally fine. Next, we're going to start pinching the pot. And I always pinch the pot way down at the bottom first, because the more you pinch your pot, the bigger it will get and the harder it will be to reach the bottom of your pot. So with my pinchy fingers, I'm gonna push them all together, and I'm gonna, like they're in a mitten, and I'm gonna press all the way down to the bottom of that pot. And then I'm gonna turn and pinch and turn and pinch and turn and pinch and turn and pinch and turn. And I'm trying to make sure that I have, my clay is going to be 1/4 of an inch at the bottom, and then I'm slowly, as I get that 1/4 of an inch, I'm slowly moving my fingers up and turning and rotating around the entire pot. I'm only pinching with one hand. I'm using my other hand to support the pot and turn it. And I'm just pinching all the way around, creating that nice even thickness throughout the entire pot. And notice how as I pinch, the pot is opening up. I'll show you with my left hand so you can see a little bit better as I'm pinching. You'll want to pinch with whatever hand you write with. That's going to be your best pinching hand. And the more you pinch with your thumb, the more the pot's going to open up and become more of a bowl shape. So it'll kind of fall, the walls will fall out more. And the more you pinch with your fingers, the outside fingers, the more it will go upright. So depending on the shape of the planter you want to make, you'll want to make your pinching according to that. If you're having trouble making your pot go upright, like mine is, you might want to just change how you're pinching your pot. Maybe you need to put your thumbs on the outside because your hands are just used to pinching with your thumb more than your fingers. And remember that pinching is a slow action when we're making a pinch pot. It's not, you're not trying to hurt the clay, you're just trying to move it a little. And you can go over the same spot multiple times. This isn't a race. We're just trying to make a nice, even-walled pinch pot. And sometimes that means going over the clay a couple times and making more than one pass around the same spot as you pinch. So I'm being the wheel right now, or I'm rotating with one hand, while the other hand is creating pressure and making our opening and our pinch pot all even throughout. I think I've got a pretty nice pot going right now, and I've just got this rim to finish. So if you'd like to leave your rim just kind of rolled, you can do that. You can just smooth it out, or you can make a design and use your skewer to cut with your rim. You can also set your piece down and you can pinch your rim, which I'm going to do. I'm just going to pinch it out a little bit more. I'm not getting it too thin, but you can see how just a few pinches really changes that opening. So we'll keep going. And I'm changing the way I'm pinching by making it so that my fingers come up to a point. When I was pinching my pot, my fingers were more straight like this, between my thumb and my fingers. And now they're more angled with my thumb coming up to this point to make the tip of, or the rim of my pot look thinner than the rest of the pot. I'd say that's a pretty nice rim. I can just smooth that out, or maybe go and pinch little areas that just need a little bit extra. And I am done with the first part of my piece. So with every good planter, you will also need to have a hole in the bottom so that you have a place for water to drain out when you water your pot, or water your plant, sorry, that is in your pot. So we're going to use our popsicle stick to create our hole. You'll want to leave yours down on the table and put the popsicle stick in. That'll be the easiest for you. But so that you can see what's going on, I'm just going to show you with it like this. So I'm going to take my popsicle stick and slowly turn it like it's a drill bit. And it's drilling out a hole in the bottom of my pot. And then I'm going to just slowly push until it's all the way through. And then I'll move that out. I'll smooth this part on the underside. And then I'll check my inside. My inside's got this big piece of clay that's pushed through. I'm going to smooth that in. Because you're going to be doing it the other way with it on the table, you probably won't even need to do this smoothing part. So don't worry about that too much. And if it's in the inside, remember you're going to fill this pot with dirt and you won't be able to get to those spots that kind of are more ouchy or might hurt you or be dangerous in some way. So now we have our beautiful little pot here. If you want to change your shape in any way, you can always use your fingers to push some areas out. Maybe you want it to be a little bit heavier at the bottom for more volume for your roots to grow. See how you can just manipulate the clay to get the shape you want. So now my pot is a little bit more rounded and has more volume for something to go in it, and it's less tippy. It won't fall off my table. So I'm gonna set that aside, and I'm gonna start with the next step, which is getting my extra clay out to make my plate for my planter to sit on. I'm gonna just roll this into a ball and pat it and smooth out any creases I see. And then I'm going to set it on my table. If you're working on a table that has a slick cleanup surface, you might want to have something between you for this next step. Maybe a piece of cardboard or a piece of paper works really well, just to set a piece of paper down in between you and the table so your clay doesn't get stuck. And we're just going to press this ball of clay down and flatten it out a little. And we're trying to make it stay circular as we're pressing it out. We're making a nice circular cookie. And we want to make sure that we don't press the clay too much. We want it to be the same thickness as our pot. So we don't want it to be any less than 1/4 of an inch. And this is going to start out as our plate, and then we're going to use pinching to make a rim. Right now it's flat, so if we kept this as our plate and we watered this pot, the water would just come through and go all over the table. So we want to make sure there's a rim, but we also want to make sure that the pot fits onto our piece. So we just checked that by setting it there. And then we're going to go around the whole edge, and we're just going to pinch this up. Using our little pinchy fingers, we're going to pinch this rim up. We're just kind of pulling it and turning it with the outside fingers. Again, if your fingers don't know how to do that very well, you can always switch the way your hands are and use your thumb to press it up. I like to work with my fingers on the outside. I think it's a little bit easier than using your thumb. And then as you're pinching this out, maybe you notice that the middle could use some pinching. So you can always just pinch with, like by pushing your thumbs into the center of the clay. And then do a little bit more pinching to get that rim a little bit higher. Maybe you like to put a little extra water in your plants, and you've always got a little, you need a big area or well for your water to run into. So you'll want a nice big plate for that. I'm just pinching and smoothing that rim out, and I've got this nice little dish now that my planter can sit on. So we will just test that again, make sure that it fits. It's a nice fit and it looks nice with it. So our next step that you can do is, and this might depend on what your class is doing together and how you're integrating it into any lessons that you have going on. Maybe you're learning about the life cycle of plants, and you're going to draw seeds and then seeds sprouting and then turning into the plant that you're going to be planting in here. Or maybe you have designs of just leaves that you've collected around on your walks outside, and you're going to press those leaves into the surface of your clay. All of those are great applications for how you can integrate life sciences and plants into this project in your decoration. Think about how your decoration will support what's being put inside your vessel. You can also just draw on it. Maybe you want to just draw small little flowers onto your piece. This skewer, as long as you don't press too hard, is a great drawing utensil. Also, any pencil is as well. Maybe you want to have a plant that comes up from there all the way to there and then grows out of your planter. Maybe it's got a leaf here. So you can just go around and plant those things and draw those things. Maybe you would like to draw what makes a plant grow. Maybe you'll have a cloud here that has some raindrops falling to show that your seeds need water. And what else do they also need? They need sun. So maybe you'll put a sun over here and show the rays of sun coming out on your planter to show what plants need to grow. Maybe those lines for your sun can come onto here. So we've got our sun there. If you have any little bits of clay that are kind of pooling off, you can carefully remove those because those will just turn into hard little pieces and you want to get them out of the way. What else do plants need to grow? Maybe you just want to put a little line here and show it being planted in the ground and putting a seed here. So they need dirt to grow in. How do you draw dirt? You can just draw the dirt itself and the little home that your seed lives in. And then maybe just a clock. Seeds need time to grow. So maybe you should put a clock or a calendar to show that they need time and that it's not an instantaneous process. All right, so I have decorated my piece and I am ready for our final step, which is writing our name on the bottom of both pieces so that you know which one is yours. So we're gonna take our skewer and we're gonna write our name right here. I'm gonna write Crista, my name, in case you forgot. Oh, I forgot, make sure to cross your T. And then we're gonna write a number with our name with a circle around it. And the number has to do with the glaze that we're going to put on the piece. So if you've seen pots in your home, maybe you've noticed that they have this shiny glassy surface on them. And that glass is really glass. It's a special type of glass called glaze that we use in pottery. And that glaze will make your piece food safe, and it will also make it so that water won't seep out of it, so that it'll make it safe for your plant to grow. And we have 3 glaze options that you can choose from with your planter. Our first one is called Bonnie Surprise, and it's a gray color. Our next one is BC Green, and it's a green color, as it says. And our last one is Peggy's Blue, which is a blue color. And each of them has a number. So the gray one is number 1, the green one is number 2, and the blue one is number 3. You can pick a different color for each of your pieces, or you can make them the same. I'm going to choose the gray for my top one and put a 1 on there. And really important, I'm putting a circle around my number because sometimes these lines will kind of blend in, and we want to make sure that our ceramic technician knows what color to glaze your pot. So put a circle around your number. Now we're going to do the same for our bottom piece. And maybe you need, as you are looking at it, you're like, oh, I really want to decorate this plate. Take the time to decorate the inside of the plate if you'd like to. And then when you're finished, write your name on the bottom so we know which plate goes with your planter. And then choose your other glaze or maybe the same glaze. I'm going to choose a different glaze for my bottom. I'm going to make my bottom blue, and I'm going to put a 3 right here with a circle around it. So now I'm ready to give my piece back to my teacher, and I'm all done. And I will take my pieces carefully to my teacher, or if you're a virtual student and you'd like to drop it off at Gallery 1, you're more than welcome to do that. Just make sure that you ask one of the people who are working there where to put it. And then if you're giving it to your teacher, there will be a representative from Gallery 1 who will come pick up the pieces and take them in, and that will probably be me. I am actually the ceramic technician as well, so I'll be firing all your pieces and your lovely planters, and I'll be glazing them for you. And then about 2 weeks after I pick them up from your teacher, you'll get them back and you'll be able to start the next part of your process with these planters, which is putting some dirt in them and planting a seed and watering those seeds and watching them grow. So I hope you enjoyed this Art2GO lesson from Gallery 1 and from me, Krista. And I can't wait to see what you made. And I hope you're enjoying learning about plants and learning about clay. And if you have any other questions, feel free to write me a note or come by the gallery on Tuesdays and Fridays when I work in the ceramics studio and ask me a question.